Hi everyone and welcome back to another LL Sports TV production. More importantly, another episode of Keep It in the Family. I'm your host Laurie and it gives me great pleasure to be able to introduce to my left my niece and AFTV's First Lady, Kenya, in the building.
Yes, we're back.
We're back in the building. You notice that my voice is more invigorated this week, and I'll get onto that in a minute.
This time.
I am. You know that old saying in life, certainly in football, a week is a long time in football.
Yeah, it's true.
And it was just this time last week, I and many others in the Arsenal fan base were openly expressing our frustrations at the lack of activity in the transfer market. I mean, I know we'd signed Kepa.
I think that puts it mildly for you.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I was starting to get a little bit perturbed at the seeming lack of activity in the transfer market. And to be fair, your dad and my brother Robbie was saying, look, stop panicking, things will happen, trust the process and all that type of stuff. I was still sceptical, but I've got to admit, following this weekend's news, that we've signed Martin Zubimendi, which I think is an excellent signing. Took us a long time to get it done, but we got it done. I'm very happy about that. And I'm even more encouraged by the news that is filtering through at the moment. And let's be honest, it looks like it's going to happen. That Arsenal are very close to finalising the deal to sign Victor Gyökeres to become Arsenal's new striker for the season. And I must say, I'm made up about that. That's great news.
I'm very happy.
Kenya, over to you. What's your thought?
I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. I mean, we did a show before. We spoke about, obviously, Sesko as the other person that we were heavily linked to. And although it's not done yet, it looks, like you said, it looks like we're going to be signing Gyökeres at the moment. And I said already, look, I want a striker. If you get, at least try and get one of the two. But my choice is Victor Gyökeres. His numbers are there to see. He's a proven striker. He loves to score. I want someone who loves to score and who will continue to keep scoring. Who's a guy that says, I'm not just score one, I'm going to score two, I'm going to score three, I'm going to score four. And that's something he actually does. Not just for his club in Portugal, but in the Champions League, for the national team. I'm happy with that. And then as well, he's an experienced, I think he's like 27 or 28. I'm really happy, and I just hope we get it over the line, honestly.
Yeah. It's been a long time in coming, because previously it would appear that there was a lot of... back and forth, a lot of...
undecided.
Indecision. So it would appear, and I mean, obviously Arsenal will tell you that, no, we knew what we were doing all along. But to me, it kind of smacked of a bit of indecision, a bit of prevarication.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad now that we seem to be homing in on Gyökeres, because he is, no disrespect to Sesko, I've said all along.
He's got a lot of potential, but he's just unproven, and I just don't know if we need
somebody that's, you know what I mean, a proven goal scorer. And out there right now, you're not going to find anyone that hits the net more than Gyökeres. I mean, let's look at some of his stats. 97 goals in 102 matches for Sporting. Now,
that's crazy.
People are talking about the league and that, but listen, anytime you can get those numbers, that is seriously impressive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And listen, Sesko got 13 goals last season. Last season, Gyökeres got 39 goals. He also got 6 in the Champions League compared to Sesko's, was it 3 or 4?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've seen the hat-trick he got against City as well.
Yeah, that was impressive.
So don't tell me you can't do it against better opposition. And don't tell me you can't do it internationally, because when he plays for Sweden, he actually pushes Isak to the wing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? To accommodate. So
Swedish fans will tell you that he's the guy. And I mean, he is. Look at what he does for the national team.
And the way I look at it, you just simply can't overlook those numbers. I know people are going to look at the Portuguese league. They're going to bring in the old Nunes thing. But Nunes was the same when he was out there. No. I'm convinced that this guy is exactly what Arsenal need.
Yeah, I'm happy with him.
I'm greatly encouraged. I'm not saying that signing him means that we're going to win major honours, but I do think that we're in a much better place. Yeah.
I think as well, you can say, like the Portugal thing, like plays in Portugal, it's a weaker league. I do hear that, but I also just feel like you look at him and he's also he gives you a player that he's hungry to score, he's hungry to win. Yeah. So even if he comes here and he has a bit of difficulty, I do believe that he can adapt quite well, and he's actually shown that. I mean, Sporting play very transitional, but then you look at his stats and he wins so much possession. Like, that's exactly what we need and what we want. Majority of his goals are actually come from within inside the box, which we do. We literally camp out inside boxes. So I think he suits us quite well. Don't get me wrong, there's things that he can work on, but you know, so you could have said the same for Sesko. And I think for Sesko, I would be sat here saying there's actually more that he could have worked on compared to Gyökeres. So I'm really happy. I'm really excited.
There's only one thing you need to work on, man. That's putting the ball in the back of the net.
Exactly.
I mean,
I don't care how you do it,
I've had this conversation with Arsenal fans before.
Yeah,
Listen,
people crying about penalties and things. I don't care. It's about scoring. Sometimes a penalty is a margin in a game. Look at when we drew. Do you remember when we drew 2-2 to West Ham? And Saka missed that penalty. It was like the first penalty he'd missed since the Euros. Those are small margin. You need someone that's going to score those. I don't care.
Point.
You need to score every chance you get. And this is a guy who shows that he's very clinical and he does score a lot of chances.
That's right.
So,
and that point you made about the draws as well is a point that I've made on previous shows. If you look at the stats for last season, we finished second. We had 14 draws out of our 38 games.
Yeah.
And if you look at the vast majority of those games, right, I don't have the immediate stats in front of me, but I know that we drew 14 times.
Yeah.
The vast majority of those 14 games, Arsenal had the most possession, created the most chances on goal, had the most shots on goal. The difference was we couldn't get it over the line. Exactly. We didn't score. And the reason I would suggest for that is that, and no disrespect to the players at the club last season, but we didn't have a recognised striker that could put the ball in the back of the net.
It was a lot of makeshift, a lot of, Havertz is going to come in and do a bit of a job. Marino is going to come here. Even Ethan. Ethan's going to be moved onto the wing when he's not a winger at all. Like, it was a lot of makeshift, you know, relying on likes of Declan Rice, etc., to just pull out brilliance, but they're not actually supposed to really do those things. It was just like an added great thing that they were able to do. And I feel like now we actually have someone whose game is that. It's, I'm going to give you the brilliance. I am going to score you the goals inside the box, outside the box. You know what I mean? I'm strong. I'm big. I run fast. Like, there's not much else to say.
I mean,
like,
listen. Arsenal have finished runners up 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And I would argue in that time, in those 3 seasons, we have lacked, in my view, a consistent clinical finisher with a proven ability
100%.
to find the back of the net on a regular basis. In the last 3 seasons, we've not had a single player to score 20 goals a season. In fact, we've not done that since Aubameyang left the club. That was 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? So we need that clinical striker. And in Gyökeres, I believe we have that. I mean, it's interesting because Gyökeres first come on my radar about 4 years ago.
Yeah, for Coventry.
For Coventry, yeah. And I remember it well. Coventry were playing Luton in the playoff final. And I was interested in that game because obviously I used to live in Luton many years ago and I still keep an eye out for Luton's fortunes. Anyway, I remember watching them times I didn't know anything about Gyökeres.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I watched the game. I watched the whole game. And I was looking out mainly for the Luton players. But I saw Gyökeres, right? And I'd never heard of him before. And I saw this guy rampaging through the bit. I thought, right, who's that guy up top?
Yeah.
And he was the best player on the pitch for me that day, even though Coventry ended up losing. And so he stuck in my subconscious. I thought, yeah, that guy looks half decent.
Yeah.
Only to find out that he went to Sporting.
Had already paid for him.
And then it just so happened that a couple of years later, Arsenal were said to be interested in him. And as soon as his name entered the frame, I was like, yeah, man, I like that guy. And then I started following his fortunes more, saw the goals he was scoring.
He's the one that basically, I watched a few Coventry games before that playoff final. He was the one that basically got them there. So I'm like, yo, and I was like, Sporting had already paid for him. In that final, we already knew that he was leaving. Went to Sporting as kind of like a unnamed person. Because I think before Coventry actually revived his career. Because I think before then he was at Brighton and Swansea or whatever, and it didn't go well for him at all. Yeah. Went to Coventry, and look, he's just kicked on massively since then. He's kind of peaked a bit late. But I don't mind that either.
The other thing I like about him as well is that he's shown a real desire to come to Arsenal. Yeah. I think that speaks volumes as well.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that. I think Fabrizio Romano said he's willing to take a €2 million pay cut to join the club. So again, this is someone who's like, he's dedicated to the cause. He wants to come. And then you think about Man United, Amory, his old coach is there basically. And he's saying, I don't even want to go Man United, although he's got basically links to the club and is somebody familiar. You know, he'd start there. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's saying, nah, Arsenal is the place I want to go. Like, he's been saying that for weeks and weeks. So it's nice as well to have someone who's, like, genuinely committed. All my cards are on the table. This is where I want to go. He's not shy to say it. Like, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For the uninitiated, for the people that may not have seen Gyökeres, I know you've seen quite a bit of him. I know, Kenny, you do your due diligence on all these players. Tell the people out there what we can expect. Apart from the goals, tell us about what you believe to be his major attributes and how that will suit Arsenal.
I think he's a very adaptive player. So for Sporting's a very transitional team, but I could feel like in a high possession team as well, he could thrive a lot. He's so good at winning duels, good at winning back possession. Just like you said, the amount of goals he scores is unfathomable. We've seen him like show some of the best centre backs and make them look like idiots. Look what he did to Man City. And I think even in that game, Sporting was a goal down. So what he can do is just, you know, great. And on top of that, we sit here, we love Alexander Isak. He's someone that we've been heavily linked to for a long time. Someone that, unfortunately, we've had to kind of turn away from because of his price tag. He basically benches him for Sweden, or he forces him out to the wing when he does play. I just think this is someone who's hungry for goals. He doesn't stop when he gets the hat-trick. He tries to get the fourth, the fifth. Like, that's exactly what we need. We need someone hungry, ready, wants to win, and as well, he's a winner.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with all that. And as well as that, he's big, he's strong, he's
strong,
quick,
fast,
he's
intelligent.
Direct. He likes to shoot from outside the box.
Yeah, he's right-footed but can use his left.
Yeah.
I mean, he can work on headers, but overall, I just think his link-up play is great. There's not much like negative really to say about him.
Yeah, some people have said that his one-on-one, conversion is not the greatest, but
when are we really the only player in our team who's ever really one-on-one? What is this one-on-one with the keeper? The only person who's really ever one-on-one is like Martinelli on a counter-attack, because we're not really a counter-attacking team, are we?
No,
really, because we're a high possession team. We actually more face our weakness is counter-attacking teams and low blocks. So I don't know, man, and he's got room to grow.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to.
27.
He's coming to a new league. It's the best league and most physical and technical league. He's gonna have to adapt to it, but I have faith that he will. To be honest, if you can go from the Championship to Portugal, which is completely different, the Championship is very physical but much slower. Portugal's a much more technical league. If you can go there and just settle in and become, go into the Champions League off basically no experience, tear that up as well. Like,
I think he could be a game changer, the needle mover, the person that really, elevates Arsenal to the point where now, along with the other signings, obviously he can't do it by himself. The Zubamendi signing's an excellent signing as well. We do need that left forward situation sorted out. I hope we can do that pretty soon. But listen, the whole world knew that we needed a striker.
Exactly.
And it looks like now we're closing in on a striker. And I've got to be honest, it's the striker I wanted.
Yeah, same.
This is the guy that I wanted. I'd earmarked Gyokores from months ago, and I'm sure he's going to be the right fit. I'm absolutely confident.
Do you know what? I've got a question for you. What shirt number would you give him?
9, man.
Well, number 9's taken from Gabriel Jesus. Has got number 9, so you can't unless you strip him of it. But there's number 10. There's number 14. There's a lot of numbers out there that could.
I like the 9, man, because it's an iconic. I see, you know what it is, right?
Yeah,
no
but we're not Chelsea,
to Jesus.
Man. We're not gonna just rip him off a shirt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it,
That's
but I mean, you're right. The reason why I kind of opt in for number 9, I just see that as an iconic. He looks like that kind of.
He looks like Gyökeres.
He looks like that kind of.
Have to see
that ideal number 9, you know what I mean? That typical number 9 type striker.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm excited about this signing because I don't think we've had a proper number 9 or centre forward since Aubameyang was at the club. And I was a big fan of Aubameyang. Exactly. Listen, all fans love goal scorers, man.
Exactly.
All fan bases rally behind goal scorers.
Exactly. You think about all the exciting. Why do you think Messi, Ronaldinho, all these players are so loved?
Exactly.
Zlatan, because they scored goals, and a lot of goals. And those goals were able to get clubs to win things, massive things. And they make, basically, strikers build legacies for clubs, essentially. So you need one. And
I just see him as a traditional number 9.
Yeah.
And you're right though about Gabriel Jesus. I mean, what do you think happens to Jesus now? Because I think he's going to fall further down the pecking order now.
Yeah, the club have to keep him. He's torn his ACL again. He's probably not going to be back to the end of the year. But I think next season we'll part ways with him for sure.
Do you think they'll do similar to what they did with Tomiyasu?
I don't know. That, to be honest, the Tomiyasu thing really surprised me. I expected the club to kind of see it out. I don't think we'll do that to Gabriel Jesus, to be honest. But
I think with Tomiyasu though, it was a mutual.
Yeah,
what we've been told, it was mutual because
agreement. But I was still shocked because I was just like, I thought the club were kind of. I know I've always said, look, I love Tomiyasu, but we should definitely try and sell him when he's fit. He's just never fit anymore. He's dropped out of the project essentially. We need someone who's fit and available. But I was surprised that the contract was terminated, and I just don't think they'll do that with Gabriel Jesus, to be honest. I think they will just sell him somewhere, probably send him back to Brazil or something. That might be where he might want to go next.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of seasons have not been kind to Gabriel Jesus. I mean, we all know he's a very talented player, but the injuries have definitely taken a toll on him. And he just doesn't seem to be able to get a consistent run in the team. And on top of that, even allowing for his football ability, I think we have to be honest and saying he's not the most prolific.
Yeah, he's not prolific.
He's never hit 20 in a season, has he?
Yeah, no. He's not prolific, but one thing about him you could say, like, it's really a shame because I wish he could have stayed fit because he's such a fantastic player. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play false 9. Like, you can't really, in terms of technical ability, there's nothing to doubt. It's just whether he can stay fit, which is...
And we all know the Premier League, man, it's it's not for the faint-hearted, as I've said many times before. It's physically robust, shark-infested waters out there, man.
And everything's done in quick succession.
Everything is 100 mile an hour, it's intense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. What about Havertz then? How do you think the signing of Gyökeres will affect his position in the team?
I do think, look, I've always said you could do 2 striker situations, but then that means you have to drop Saka a bit deeper. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of exploration. Do you go back to Havertz's old days of him being a winger, which, to be honest, I don't really want to see. I think he's better as a striker. Like, we could maybe see him as a midfielder again, but almost like a floating midfielder where, like, he's kind of floating around and he kind of just pops up in a box like a fox in a box. We could see that. Like, I mean, it's really interesting now to see what happens with Marino, Havertz. Like, it's all rotation. They could all be, rotational options. Now we have a lot of options to consider, which is actually a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
Do you think Arsenal have to drastically alter the way they play to accommodate Gyökeres, or do you think they'll pretty much play the same style just tinker a little bit with it, or what?
No, but I do think if we want the best out of him, we need to go back to playing fast football. I think this whole very methodical, very systematic, passing around, very slow build-up, we're not going to see the best of him if we do that. He's someone that thrives off... He's almost similar to Martinelli in the sense that they're both players that thrive off having a bit of a chaotic moment, like it when it's very fast-paced, want to try and beat their defender. Like, that's what he's best at. So I think if you want to play to his strengths, we need to get back to that fast-flowing, very sexy football, to be honest.
Yeah. No, man, I'm excited.
So am I. I'm excited as well.
Obviously, like I said before, I'm not 100% sure. Nobody is. But I do believe
it's a risk worth taking.
Yes, 100%. I do believe that this could be the needle mover. This could be the thing. Obviously, he needs support. And obviously... And the left-sided solution needs to be solved.
Yeah.
We need to strengthen in that area. It'll be interesting to see who comes in. I mean, there's still Madueke being talked about. Rodrigo and Eze. Obviously, I prefer the latter of those two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Not Madueke.
I think we'll do a separate video on Madueke because I've got a lot to say about that. But if we can get that left side sorted out to... most fans' satisfaction. I think that things are starting to look up, man. I'm so much more encouraged now.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was saying, remember I was saying before, like, we're only like 10 days in and people were like, oh my God, we're not signed. And I'm like, guys, chat to me.
I was one of them.
I was like, chat to me when we go on pre-season. If we go on pre-season and we've only got Zubimendi in, then I'll crash out. But let me just wait until then, because these deals take time. These are very big, very complicated, especially when you've got clubs saying we're not accepting anything lower than this, when you've got sporting directors coming out making statements like Sporting are, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to take time, but I just got to be patient.
So what do you think was the thing that tipped it in Gyökeres' favour? Because, you know, it wasn't that long ago we've been told that Sesko was the number one target. And from what I understand, I mean, listen, don't quote me on this, but I'm just, you know what I mean? Don't shoot the messenger. But what I'm hearing is that there was a little bit of creative tension, if you like, between Berta, the sporting director, and Arteta. So Arteta was leaning towards Sesko and Berta was leaning towards Gyökeres. It would appear that Berta won out, but I don't think it's as simple as that. Were there any other machinations going on behind the scenes that led Arsenal down the Gyökeres route?
From what I've read is that this is mostly because of Sesko. So Sesko was the favourite. Sesko's the one that Arsenal's been chasing for a long time. When we tried to get him last year, instead of basically joining us, he signed a new contract with a release clause, which basically has basically come back to bite him now, because now RB Leipzig are now saying they've missed out on Europe as well. They had a really poor season last season, missed out on Europe, finished 7th. They obviously needed that money. They're now looking at it like, right, he's our most profitable asset. Lots of people kind of want him. Arsenal want him. We want 90 million euros. Andrea Berta's like, no chance. Like, we're not going to pay that amount. And also, I think when Edu was here, he kind of had the understanding with Sporting, and obviously now that he's gone and Berta's in, it's a bit different kind of feel of relationship. And Berta's just like, I don't really want to pay that much. And I think he's right, to be honest. 90 million is probably about 75, 80 million pounds. For someone who's kind of unproven, I think that's very crazy. But that's kind of what I read. It's more of RB Leipzig are saying it's this price or nothing, and we said say no more then. Like,
so basically RB Leipzig overstated their hand.
Yeah.
And
and as well, now that the thing with him, he's not going to really push to leave the club, because I guess he signed a new contract, so he's getting higher money at Leipzig. But also, like, you know, he's now, instead, he shouldn't have really signed that release clause, because now he's kind of, no offense, stuck there. It's really in the club's hands. He kind of has to rely on other clubs to really front up the money, and we're just not willing to do that. So,
well, he's only 22, man. I mean, he's still got time.
He can still get a move somewhere.
I mean, some people have mentioned Gyökeres' age, but on the reverse of that, I look at it, we are getting him in his prime. That's what we need. I'm not...
Look, we didn't get Abel when he was young, really,
exactly.
Did we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know it may sound short-termism, but it's just reality. Yeah. Arsenal are in that situation where we need to win trophies and major honours. The last 3 seasons we finished runners-up. We need to win a trophy. If not the Premier League, the Champions League. I mean, me personally, I would take one of the domestic trophies.
Yeah, same. But even that,
some people have said to me, though, they've made it clear that that's not enough.
Yeah, I'm actually
maybe I'm revising my...
I'm one of them, man.
Oh, yeah?
I can't lie. Look, I want us to win anything possible, but to me, of course, if we won the Carabao Cup, I'd be very happy because we still won something. But I'd still be like, we didn't spend this much and do this much just to win a Carabao Cup.
Yeah. Let me make it clear. When I say a domestic
and the
trophy,
Champions League is
I'm
what
saying
we should
that's
be doing.
The absolute bare minimum. Yeah. I'm saying that
that would be a paper over the cracks for me personally.
Right. I'm saying
not
that
for anybody else.
If we win a domestic trophy as a bare minimum, but we're still very competitive in the league and the Champions League, I would look at that overall and say
progress.
That's progress. But if we go another season trophyless, that can't run.
Yeah.
That cannot run, man.
Jobs.
You know what I mean? So the pressure is on.
Yeah, for sure.
And listen, the club is spending the money, so the manager can have no complaints. He's been backed in the transfer market. But we do need to see results this season.
Yeah,
you know
I agree.
But just in closing, like I said, I'm very, very optimistic about this signing. This is the guy I wanted, so I can have no complaints.
No complaints.
And we move forward accordingly. I think the Zubimendi signing was really good.
Yep.
Like I said, if we can get that left-sided situation sorted out, even better.
Yep.
And then we go into the season with a lot of optimism. Kenya, I'll leave the final thoughts of you.
I'm happy. Sign the thing, get him in ASAP, give him the shirt number, let's go on pre-season. ASAP, that's how I see it.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, that's it for me and Kenya. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it in the family. Really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, LL Sports TV, please like, share and subscribe. Please spread the word. Appreciate that very much. Until then, we're out. Thank you so much. We're gone.